Let's get some follow-up questions here. Dr. Randolph.
We've heard a lot of people today on our website. They've been speaking out. Some people, of course, saying, they agree with what Jimmy Carter had to say. Others are saying, look, if I disagree with the president or his policies, that doesn't make me a racist. Can you disagree with a black president and let that be that and not be called a racist?
Of course you can. And I am of the opinion that you should always have the right to disagree, but not allow your disagreement to cause disintegration. What Congressman Joe Wilson did was a form of disintegration of the moral fiber that the so-called religious right that he professes to be a part of, that's what they speak about, respecting people. There's nothing greater in life than to show respect for all human beings. And what he did was, to me, the ultimate form of disrespect. Of course, this has never happened before. Never happened before in the history of this country. I have checked all of the records, being a jackleg historian. And, of course, all of the atrocities, disrespectful atrocities and events that are really bad that took place in Congress, guess which state that the individuals came from? 1856, South Carolina. 1957, South Carolina. Strom Thurmond, of course. Brooks in 1856. Then in 2009, the shots are the words, as you call them shots, but words that were heard around the world. In this day of technology, we don't have to worry about people finding out on the newspaper or the Pony Express or the Telegraph a week later or 2 weeks later. 6.5 billion people have seen and heard those comments that were, any way you dress it up, if it looks like a duck, has feathers, webbed feet, I don't care what you call it, it's a duck.
Now, I know,
and that was a bad duck that flapped across the stage on last Wednesday night by a congressman from the state of South Carolina.
I know, Adam, during the initial comments, you were shaking your head to what he had to say.
A healthy disagreement is good for the debate. At town hall meetings and tea parties all across America, millions of Americans are showing similar forms of disenfranchisement and disagreement with the leadership in Washington. And Joe Wilson, Dr. Randolph, I did not interrupt you during your comments. Please do not interrupt me during mine.
And there is a way to disagree.
And in that disagreement, Joe Wilson became more than just a congressman for the 2nd District of South Carolina. He became congressman for millions of Americans and standing up and saying what millions were yelling at their televisions. And yes, sometimes you have to speak up to be heard. The same thing like in the civil rights movement. Being quiet didn't get you anywhere in the civil rights movement. Did it, Dr. Randolph?
Of course it did.
Being quiet got you somewhere?
Of course it did.
Well, I mean,
Of course it did. Well, see, I don't agree with you just based on what you said and the context in which you're trying to make your conversation be heard. No. The squeaky wheel does get the oil, but there is still never a time to be disrespectful to human beings. And why a person, particularly someone who serves with 435 of so-called elected officials in this country, would feel that way. We send children home from school. We send them home for school and charge them with a felony for disrupting school. Now, if we treat, I didn't dis.
Yes, you did.
Well, then don't make it a habit.
You too.
We send children home from school and charge them with a felony for disrupting school, a subjective action taken by school administrators. If we can put those kind of requirements of zero tolerance on school children, we ought to have zero tolerance for our elected officials also.
The big issue is health care. So hopefully, after we come back from the commercial break, we'll be able to talk about how we can get back on focus on this issue of health care.